We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live boxing ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live. Former Gennady Golovkin trainer. Hey, no, guys. Hey, Max, this guys is nothing. Big drama show. We gonna talk about the latest drama show. Abel Sanchez, trainer of Triple G for a long time. He dishes his thoughts on who has the toughest match. Spoiler alert, it's Devin Haney. On that triple header, Times Square, New York, and he explains why and gives you some things to think about regarding Devin, the Dream Haney, and his comeback fight, the very first fight following the Ryan Garcia performance. So, a lot to go over, and in this video, your boy Ego will do it. You know I'm gonna do it. The triple header is almost among us. May 2nd, you have a triple header that features pretty much Gervonta Davis's contemporaries in no particular order. Actually, I'll put it in order. Ryan Garcia, he's fighting Rolly, two guys that Tank beat Tank Davis, right? You have the co-main is Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez, and you have Teofimo versus Arnold Barboza. Now, in a brand new interview with Fight Hub TV, Triple G's longtime trainer Abel Sanchez weighed in and gave his opinion on who has the toughest of the three fights. And he says Haney versus Jose Ramirez. I think Ryan Garcia stops Rolly Ramiro somewhere around the 7th or 8th. So he was asked directly, out of this triple header, who do you believe has the toughest, tallest order? And he says Haney Ramirez. He goes on to say, quote, I think Devin Haney fight is a difficult fight. We're going to see really what Devin Haney is made of because Ramirez is going to give him a hard time. Robert Garcia, his coach, will put a game plan together like he did for Arnold Barboza that will make it difficult for Devin Haney. We're going to see if Haney belongs at that top level, talking about, you know, the Shakur Stevensons and Gervonta Davis, all of those guys. It depends on how Devin looks in his next fight. Now, this was Abel Sanchez being asked about a Ryan Garcia-Devin Haney rematch and who would win that. He said it depends on how Haney looks in his next fight. If all of a sudden he shows up and shows us that he belongs up there, then it's a difficult fight for Ryan Garcia because he'll be smarter. Devin Haney will. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, kid. I gotta keep it real. On my channel, I said for the longest, pretty much since April 20th, that Devin Haney is in between a rock and a hard place. The way the Ryan fight played out, he looked bad, he got dropped. Again, you have people, fighters, and I'm just being real. You got fighters and fans like, oh, but Devin Haney picked himself back up. He did. Bravo. This is standard issue when it comes to being a fighter. Most fighters don't want to get stopped. Most fighters, whether they have the skill or not, have heart. To even get in the career path of being a boxer, you have to have some level of heart because some people have never been in a fight at all. So to earn your coin through pugilism, you know, that takes something, right? So for me, I've always been like this. I'm not gonna go above and beyond and give certain fighters, because they have a name, a lot more credit for having heart than I would any boxer. Like, for example, there's journeymen that have signed up to fight a prime Mike Tyson. Hi, it's me, Mike Tyson. I'm trained with Customato. I'm not a textbook fighter. I fight to win, totally to win, right? prime Mike Tyson from the Catskill Mountains, right? So does Devin Haney or whoever, because they showed heart, get more credit than these journeymen that signed up to fight Mike Tyson, knowing he was ferocious, knowing he was a knockout artist, and knowing that he ain't had no chill and he had no off button back then? You know what I mean? So that's why I said standard issue. I'm not giving certain fighters more credit for having heart. Having heart is great. Devin did pick himself up. Bravo. I expect nothing less from a fighter. You know, you could be like Victor Ortiz and quit in fights, and then that's what people are going to bring up and remember. So of course you would rather somebody who picks himself back up as opposed to mentally checks out, quits, you know, things like that. But again, Victor Ortiz and somebody having that mindset and quitting in repeat fights is more the exception than the rule. So I don't see why people are giving so much credit to Devin for doing what all fighters do when they're hurt, if they can. You know what I mean? Like, to be honest, I think a better way to frame it would be Devin Haney must have been in serious shape because his conditioning must have been good for him to keep getting up, and that's more impressive than the heart aspect for me. Because again, having heart is great, but skills pay the bills. You know what I mean? You should not, like, the reason we know certain guys have crazy heart is usually because we see them getting pulverized and somehow, some way they're not knocked out, you know, and people they like over glorify that, in my opinion. Like, they're like, oh, this is amazing how much punishment he could really take. I mean, Floyd told Devin Haney to him personally. It's on tape. He said the least punishment, the less you get hit, the less punishment you take in this sport, the longer you'll last. These warnings weren't really, Devin didn't heed these warnings from Floyd Mayweather, if you know what I mean. So that's my thoughts on the whole, he showed heart. That's really all he really showed to me, is good recuperative powers and heart to keep picking himself back up. But in terms of a sensible game plan, no. A consistent jab, no. Power, no. Crazy speed or footwork, no. You know what I mean? And that's just the truth of it. Now, I'm not knocking the kid. You can have a bad night in the office. Let's see what you got, you know, in the future, and see how you do, and if you can learn. And I always try to give people the opportunity to learn. You know what I mean? But I've said from day one, this was going to be a unique situation for Devin Haney. Now, the thing, I'm being super real because we unpacked. And you know, when Boxing Ego get unpacked, we really get it cracking. The one thing to me that is very scary, if you are a Devin Haney Haneyack and a diehard Devin Haney fan, from what I've seen, is they being Bill Haney and Devin Haney, do not seem to be embracing everything that's come from the Ryan Garcia fight in the appropriate way, meaning they're not taking it and looking like they're learning from it. Again, we won't ultimately see until we see him in the ring. Devin looks in shape, that's good, but mentally, boxing, I've always said this, boxing is like at least 80-85% mental. You know what I mean? How much can you take? Because things aren't always going to go your way. Do you have a plan A, B, C, D? You know what I mean? Do you mentally check out? Those types of things. And I'm saying this because look at how the Haneys respond to any level of criticism. I think they rather enjoy buying YouTube channels and like Haneyack channels and content creators and having a bunch of people doing their biddings. And when things were working, like meaning Devin was winning, then you couldn't really say much. You couldn't really say much at all. It's just like, oh man, Devin, he did good versus Regis Prograis. So there was nothing really to say. But now with this Ryan fight, it becomes a different situation. So Abel Sanchez is one of many people who are coming out and saying that, hey, I think this is a really dangerous fight and he has the most difficult fight. Now, I'm gonna be real. When this fight was first announced, I didn't really look at it as he has the most difficult task out of this whole triple header. But surprisingly, there are a lot of people like Mikey Garcia and pretty much Gabe Rosado, it sounds like Abner Mares and Abel Sanchez, Robert Garcia, a lot of people who are saying that this is super, super dangerous for Devin Haney. Like for me, I think Teofimo's fight has a chance to be upset with Barbosa. Barbosa's on a bit of a hot streak. Teofimo, he's in love with the camera and dancing and doing videos, not training with Eddie Reynoso. He looks like he's in shape, but I don't know. There's an element of Teofimo where he gets in the ring with somebody he should beat and he looks beatable or he gets beat. Then he gets in the ring with Josh Taylor or Lomachenko, guys that people think are going to beat him, and he'll show up. So Barbosa's kind of, he's not as accomplished as a Lomachenko, or he's not a champion, a long-standing champion like Josh Taylor. So this could be, for me, one of those fights that Teofimo takes where he's supposed to just blow past Barbosa and he might not. This might be the one like the Claggets and the random guys he'll fight, Pedro Campa, where he don't really, I know he stopped Campa, but he didn't look that great in that fight. You know what I mean? So Barbosa also looks really big. So to me, I don't know that this is the most difficult fight. Devin Haney, my personal opinion and taste, even the Rolly Ryan fight, I think there's an element of danger there because let's be real, Ryan is not Pernell Whitaker. He's been out the ring for a year and Rolly is a monster puncher. Ryan is pretty upright and he's in love with his left hook. So Rolly having the previous sparring with Ryan Garcia, that gave him a lot of confidence. You could say, oh, but he lost to Tank. Oh, but he lost to Pitbull Cruz. Ryan don't really fight like either of those guys. He don't have the build of Pitbull Cruz. I don't think he throws as many punches as Pitbull Cruz, things like that. So I can't really say that Devin Haney's fight is the most difficult. I will say what I've been saying is Devin himself is in between a rock and a hard place. And I think what makes his fight difficult is the Ryan fight. For example, if Devin Haney, if you could wave a magic wand and the Devin Haney Ryan fight never took place, and we went from Devin versus Regis Prograis, and let's say he got injured and then he was coming back, I don't really know if people would be picking Jose Ramirez at this stage of his career to beat Devin. In fact, I would venture to say they wouldn't. I don't think they would pick Ramirez. So for me, I'm not really in agreement with Abel Sanchez, and I gave you the reasons. I think Ryan's fight has difficulty there just because it's a knockout artist you're fighting who knows you from sparring. And then Teo, I've already explained that. So I can't say Devin has the most difficult fight. I will say just based on how poorly Devin looked now coming into a new weight class, that's what's making it more difficult to me. But what balances it out and could favor Devin Haney here is the fact that, yes, you didn't look great versus Ryan Garcia. And yes, you've been out the ring for a year. Yes, you're coming up to a new weight class. The thing that I think balances it where to the point where I can't say me personally it's the most difficult fight out of this triple header is because I haven't been impressed with recent Jose Ramirez. So to me, that's not necessarily a great thing when I don't know how to explain it. I mean, I do, but I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close. So I do know how to explain it. My thing is this. I think boxing fans, instead of what you see is what you get, which is how boxing works more often than not, they're always waiting for these grandiose George Foreman knockout of Michael Moore type of moment. Rest in peace to Big George, right? Yes, it happens in boxing, but again, for my take, in boxing, a lot of times it's what you see is what you get. Like if a fighter looks washed, if a fighter can't pull the trigger, if a fighter has looked bad in multiple fights or looked flat, it's really hard to reel that back in and come anew and look like a brand new fighter and rejuvenated. Now, the interesting parameter here is Devin, is he damaged from the Ryan Garcia? Does he have PTSD? Plus, Ramirez is moving up in weight. This fight is said to be taking place at a catch weight of 144. That's another thing that makes it interesting, is maybe Ramirez stayed at 140 too long and, you know, he was taxing his body, and now you have a fresher Ramirez plus a potentially worn out Devin from the Ryan Garcia fight. That's what's making it interesting for me. But if Devin never fought Ryan and had that performance, I can't imagine many people would have picked Ramirez to beat Devin Haney. So boxing is about circumstance and happenstance, and I think the circumstance on both parts, Ramirez and Haney, make this an interesting fight, because Ramirez has looked better and he hasn't looked as good as he did versus Hooker. That was years ago on DAZN. He ain't looked like that in a minute. But like I said, he's moving up in weight. Maybe he feels a bit better. He does have a good hook and good combination punches. He's Mexican American. He's durable. Devin doesn't have the most power. Devin is coming from a performance where maybe if you get him in a compromised position and he gets his bell rung or embarrassed or dropped or hurt or stanky leg like he did with Linares, then that's where things are going to get interesting. So I do agree with Abel Sanchez there. This is going to show us a lot about Devin Haney, and it's hard to look past Ramirez and give assessments to Ryan and Devin until you see both Ryan and Devin come through and how they look in their upcoming fights. Me personally, I think Turkey's making a huge mistake. If you want to make a match, strike while the iron's hot. Throwing obstacles at fighters before the quote unquote mega fight, like Canelo fighting Skull instead of just fighting Crawford, Ryan fighting Rolly, Devin fighting against Ramirez, to me it spells trouble, because more can go wrong than will probably go right. That's just my take on it. So very interesting night of fights that particular night. I'm not as sold as some people like Mikey Garcia and Abel Sanchez, just basically because Ramirez, I think he has attributes that can trouble Devin Haney, but it's hard for me to see it fully and see the full vision because I don't think he's looked too great in recent times. So the timing for both fighters is very, very interesting. And that's rare, I would say, in boxing, where you could make an argument for both guys for different reasons. Like when Ramirez fought Rancis Bartholomew, I don't think he looked that great in that fight. There was a moment, I believe, where he arguably got dropped early in the fight. And in the Barboza fight, he didn't look that great. So that's both of his fights from 2024. So Devin Haney, he's definitely going to have a chip on his shoulder from the Ryan fight, and he's going to come focused and try to make a statement out of Jose Ramirez. So I do think it's a good fight, but I'm not sure which way I would lean, because there's some very interesting parameters here. You know, Devin seemed to have a lot of problems with Ryan Garcia's size. speed, and combination. And here's the thing, Ryan has a 70-inch reach. Ramirez has, Ryan has a 70-inch reach. Devin Haney has a 71-inch reach. And surprisingly, Ramirez has a 72-inch reach. So his reach is 2 inches longer, than Ryan Garcia. And he has an inch reach advantage on Devin Haney, according to his box rec. So very interesting fight. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with Abel Sanchez? How do you see it? A lot of people are backing Ramirez. I am seeing that as we get closer to the fight. For me, I've already expressed my thoughts. Let me know how I did in this video. Are you rocking with Devin Haney? Are you rocking with Ramirez? We unpacked. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new, but even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate, so ultimately you can realize all of your online goals. Use my affiliate link in the description and grow your channel fast.